is not messing this video up. First of all, and then second of all, had a free moment in my day. I'm gonna do a live here to talk about why finding good end buyers for our properties that we sell, lease options, lease purchase, same thing, owner financing, is a lot like trophy fishing for trout. I fish for trout, you might fish for something else. Totally fine with me. But when you're trophy fishing, you are hunting the biggest fish in the water. I love fly fishing. I'm a fly angler. I have gotten into trophy fishing for brown trout recently. And when you're trophy fishing, you don't expect to catch a lot of fish in a day of fishing or even in a week of fishing. You expect to maybe catch, I don't know, a handful, possibly. You're going for the alpha fish in the water. So you are trophy hunting when you go fishing for big game species. I'm talking maybe you're a largemouth bass guy, smallmouth bass guy, maybe you're a muskie guy or gal, or a trout guy, or whatever. Maybe you're a saltwater guy. But if you like to fish and you like hunting for big fish, or even if you're a hunter and you like hunting, big game, 12-point bucks, big elk, whatever. I don't hunt, so I don't know the terminology. But you simply don't go out into the woods for an afternoon expecting to get your trophy for the season, okay? You don't go out to the river for 4 hours expecting to land that trophy size trout or bass or whatever you're fishing for. I fish for trout, so I'm going to go with trout. However, there are rules of the game, and the best anglers and the best hunters are the ones who consistently produce the best results because there are rules to the game. It is a sport. It can seem like you're hunting ghosts sometimes. You have no idea if this game even exists in your woods or in your water, but you need to fish for it and you need to hunt for it. And you have to believe that it exists. Otherwise, you're going to give up and you're going to lose hope and you're going to fail. And so when we are finding our buyers for properties that we are selling, lease options, or owner financing, this is how I make money in real estate. As opposed to, flipping a house, doing a value add, finding a tenant, getting the future appreciation. Those are ways you can make money in real estate. I like to have my end buyer paying me interest, and I like to arbitrage the interest I have on my property. And I like to have a equity spread in between what I owe and what they owe. And I like to have a down payment of some kind. So that's how I like to make money in real estate. It's the most passive form of real estate. The reality is that finding a buyer like that can be difficult. It can feel like trophy hunting or trophy fishing because that individual who has a down payment, they make a great borrower, they just can't get qualified traditionally for some reason. They're an elusive species of tenant buyers, I'll call them. They definitely exist. They're definitely out there, and there's definitely one for your property at any given moment, I'm convinced. However, it can just feel like you're chucking, streamers or jig baits or whatever you're using to fish. For me, it's streamers. Actually, I got my streamer box. Just got into fly tying, and this is fun. Been fishing for a while, but just got into fly tying, and got my little streamer box here. It's actually not such a small box, pretty big. Streamer box right here. Don't know if you can see. Those are what we fish on a fly rod to catch the biggest fish in the water. These are pretty big streamers. They call them streamers. Put them on a fly rod. I don't know if you can really tell, but that's like a 5-inch fly. So you're not catching small trout on this fly because that is the size of small trout. You're going to catch a bigger trout on that fly. Ideally. Here's one that's more olive colored right there. See, that's a zoo cougar designed by Kelly Gallup, legendary streamer fisherman and trout angler. Now lives in Montana. Okay, so we are using. We're not using flies to find our end buyers, but it can feel like chucking streamers on a body of water for mile after mile after mile sometimes and not getting a bite. Or just getting bites from small fry, smaller fish in the river, but they're not the trophy that you're looking for. Really what we're looking for when I'm selling a property, I got one right now, I haven't found a buyer yet. And I think it hasn't quite been 3 weeks. It's like we're 2.5 weeks into it. And it can feel like, oh my gosh, are there any fish in this river that want to take this streamer, right? Who want to play ball, who want to eat that, what I'm tossing out there. And but you got to know the process. I've watched lots of fishermen. I've seen photos. I know that in the river that I'm fishing, there are the fish there. There are the fish there. It's just that I haven't fished long enough. I haven't given enough time, and maybe I haven't trusted the process. And I think that's where a lot of people fail, is in failing to trust the process. Basically, we get into real estate and we think it's going to be an overnight, get rich quick situation, and it isn't. I mean, real estate is hard to make money in real estate. Let's be honest. Some people make it sound like it's easy to do, but it's actually to create income, actual income. It's difficult to do. You need resources. You need a strategy. You need a lot of grit. You need faith. I hate to call it faith, but you need faith to make money in real estate, because you have to see others do the process. You have to know that it's possible, and then you have to go out there and try and replicate it for yourself. So, cool story is that this summer I was fishing a river not too far away from me, and I had gotten the idea to fish a certain kind of fly in the stream, and I thought, well, maybe this will produce a big fish for me, because it produced a big fish for this other guy on a similar river not too far away. And so I tried fishing this and got into it. It was really fun. I was catching some smaller fish, but then eventually hooked into a really large fish for this river system where I was fishing, and ended up landing a really nice brown trout, trophy-sized brown trout, over 20 inches. And it was the coolest thing, of course, for myself as an angler. I love to fish, and that's what I was after. It's the whole point of me putting that fly on was to catch that fish. And eventually, when that fish bit and I landed that fish, I got to hold it in my hands, take a look at it, snap a photo. I released it, of course, because that's the whole point for me, is just the fun of catching a big, fish is really fun. It's the whole reason I do it. But anyways, I followed the process. I believed that it was possible, and I had just a die-hard sort of commitment to land to just finding that fish, even if it was going to take me, say, 20 more trips to the river. That's what it's going to take. And sometimes when we're finding our buyers on these properties, we're finding a tenant who's going to do a rent-to-own lease purchase, and we're looking for a certain amount down, we're looking for a certain credit score, a certain income, a certain mentality that they're looking to own a house, not just rent one. It can be hard, and it can be particularly hard in a down market, like if you're in Texas right now, or Florida, or Georgia. Markets like that can be really challenging, and you can't give up hope. If you give up hope, you're going to certainly lose. It might take you 9 months to find a buyer. maybe even 10, 11, 12 months. You might have to take a little bit of a loss actually on some deals, but you're going to learn. You're not just going to lose, you're going to actually learn instead of just lose. You're going to learn what you're going to do different next time to avoid that situation reoccurring. So you have to have faith in the process, and you have to have a die-hard commitment and perseverance. I really like that term, perseverance. And with enough perseverance, with enough faith in the process, you will find the buyer. You will land the trophy fish. And look at some trophies are bigger than others, but you're looking for a solid buyer who's going to generate income for you. They're going to get what they want. They're going to get home ownership. They're going to get the opportunity they want in their lives. And as capitalism works, they're gonna pay you for that opportunity because you have gone out there, taken the risk, expended your resources, your energy, your time to provide that opportunity. So it's a beautiful thing when it happens. And when you find that buyer, sometimes you hit the river and you catch that fish right away. And it's almost as if the bite was on and there was no skill involved, even though you'd like to believe there was skill involved. Sometimes the fish are just biting and you're going to get lucky and you're going to land a big fish. You're going to find a great buyer right away. Big down payment. They're going to bring a larger down payment than what you're asking, and they're going to be just so fantastic. And we've had those buyers, and we've had those tenant buyers, and they are amazing. Other times, you're going to have to really work for it. You're going to really have to work for it, and that's really what I'm talking about now. In general, trophy hunting, you're working for that fish. It might take you, like I said, 5 days, 6, 7 days, 7 months on the water to land that trout or to hunt that game or whatever, but eventually you're going to find it. And that's the mentality that it takes. The whole analogy here is the analogy in the mentality, right? Obviously our buyers, they are not trophy whatever, they're not game to us. They are real people who are, again, being afforded a fantastic opportunity, and we're really just finding business partners. People are going to partner with us. We're going to give them what they want. They're going to give us what we want. They'll get home ownership. We'll get passive income. Great trade-off. But what it can take to find those individuals can be tremendously difficult and taxing. And let's be honest, a lot of people don't have what it takes to do it. They're going to give up. They don't find their end buyer in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They're going to say, this doesn't work. There aren't any fish in this river. There aren't any elk on this range or in this range. They are the weak ones. They are going to fail in anything they do in life that requires difficulty. And anything worth doing is pretty much difficult to do. So learn how to become more gritty, become more perseverant, and learn how to weather a storm. Keep finding action steps, small things that you can do on a daily/weekly basis to improve your odds of landing that fish or getting that game. Okay. For me, what that might mean is just writing more bandit signs. All right. If I place 20 bandit signs out and half of them got taken down, and so now I've only got half of my marketing efforts. Well, the following week, I'm probably going to go and place some more bandit signs. And if I still don't have my buyer after 2 rounds of bandit signs, I'm probably going to go place a third round, even as many as like 200 signs. Okay, probably even more than that. Whatever it takes to friggin' get the deal done. If it takes 1,000 bandit signs, that's not that much money. Okay, you can get packets of 20 bandit signs for like $30. All right, so that's going to add up after time and the time it takes to write the signs, put the signs out. I get it, but it's probably never going to take that many signs. But you have to be willing to go to that extent to go find the buyer. And like I said, most deals are not that way, but some deals will be that way. So you have to have the determination to do it, and you have to trust in the process. I have learned from guys doing this business who have never not sold a house this way. They've always found a buyer. Knock on wood. Again, they might have to give some concessions, price drop, stuff like that, but with enough time, energy, creative input into the process, creative input, they have found the buyer who perfectly is suited for that house and is going to make the deal work. So those are my thoughts for the day. I hope that is encouraging to anybody doing rent to own and doing owner financing. To me, it's about finding a worthy, a qualified buyer who's going to have the ability to repay, who has a large down payment, like a significant chunk of skin in the game. I know not everybody wants that or is requiring that on their lease option owner financing deals, but especially if you're owner financing, you want that. Absolutely. It's too much risk not to get a down payment, a solid down payment from a buyer. If it's a lease option rent to own, again, the more skin in the game you have, the smoother that deal is going to go for you. Those are your odds. If you take little down, don't really underwrite your tenant buyer, the chances of them not paying or issues arising are much higher. So for me, I never just give a house away. I never panic, and if you panic and you sell short, you're going to probably regret that later. You're probably going to get that house back, maybe in worse condition, maybe with some legal fees and a giant headache. So always better to get a large option fee if you are doing a lease option or a large down payment. Aim for 10% or more if you're going to owner finance. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, because otherwise it's easy to find people. It is so easy to find people who will rent to own with nothing down or just like a security deposit. Okay, that's easy to do all day long. If you have the money to throw into a bunch of properties, leave your money in a property and aren't wanting any money back from your property from a buyer or tenant buyer, then just go do that. That's easy. Okay, but if you are looking to scale and you're not wanting to leave a bunch of cash in your deals, then you are going to want to get as large of a down payment from your buyer, or if you're doing rent to own, as large of an option fee as you possibly can from your tenant buyer. That's what you're going to want, because then you can go out and do more deals. Okay, but if you've got $1 million in reserves and can afford to just leave a bunch of cash in your deals, well then who cares? Just go find a very solid individual and try and get as much skin in the game as you can, but you don't have to get a big down payment. 3% down for an option purchase option fee is totally reasonable, and if they have great credits and they demonstrate their desire to really want to own a house and take care of a house and maintain a house, then take 3% down and you'll probably be fine. But you're not getting any income off of that property from that purchase option contract or from the owner finance sale of that contract. And so now you can do less deals. For me, it's about, can I get all my money out of a deal after I've placed my end buyer in the property? How little money can I leave in the deal? Because I have limited resources, basically. So that's how I can continue to scale, continue to buy real estate assets, which I will convert into basically mortgage assets, right? I become a note holder once I sell that house on owner financing. Now I hold a sheet of paper as my asset with the real property as my collateral, which, by the way, is going to go up in value over time, which, by the way, my buyer is probably going to put work into and rehab and force the appreciation of that collateral asset over time. So yeah, I'm holding a sheet of paper that's generating the income, but the physical asset that backs that, cash flowing contract for deed or wrap mortgage, if you're doing rent to own, you're still technically a landlord. I'm sorry, but don't worry, I do plenty of rent to owns as well. It's a really great way to get a solid person in the house with a big chunk down and convert them later. It's actually way easier to do, but you want to be able to scale. You want to be able to buy more than one house a year, because you're not going to retire off of one house a year. unless it's like a multi-million-dollar type house that's going to appreciate over time, and it's whatever. That's not really real estate investing the way that I'm talking about. If you're talking about entry-level single-family homes and you want to retire off that, you need to be buying a couple deals every once in a while, like more than one deal a year. Ideally, if you can get to a house a month, that's fantastic. That's pretty much where I am at right now. And I'd love to get to more than that. But I don't want to create some big business headache for myself either. And so I'm trying to scale smartly without hiring really expensive people who I can't afford to pay to do these jobs. So the way we make money in this business, and there are so few people doing this, it blows my mind. There are so few people doing the lease option game and the owner finance, especially the owner financing game. Plenty of people want to do lease options, but they don't really do them the right way. And they do sandwich lease options. That's a bunch of junk right there. I'd never do a sandwich lease option. Totally idiotic idea to do that. Sorry. Buy the property, own it, control it, and then make your money back, finding a good buyer. That's how you make the money. That's where the income is made. There are so many people who they just can't qualify. They cannot qualify. I can go down the list of reasons. Let's see. They're self-employed. That's the biggest one. Self-employed, they deduct all of their expenses, so they don't show enough income. What are the other reasons? Self-employed is the biggest one. People have divorces. The divorces ruin their credit. I-10 only, no social security number. Some people don't like the banks. They just don't like the banks. Maybe they can get qualified. I don't know, but they just don't like going through the very stringent, time-consuming, detail-oriented underwriting of a traditional mortgage. But there are people out here who have a down payment and they'd rather work with an owner, somebody that they can meet in the flesh and talk to. They have an above 620 credit score. Maybe they have a 700. Maybe we've done a couple recently with 750 credit scores. Friggin' A. It's like, why don't you just go get a mortgage? And they would rather just go through me and pay a higher interest rate and bring more down than with like an FHA loan, for example. Why don't people do this exit strategy? I don't know. And to be quite frank, it's better if you don't do it. It's better, the less people who are doing this, the way better it is. I'm so glad, let me just say, Pace Morby did not do, instead of sub 2, like owner financing, like instead of ruining the sub 2 industry, I'm glad he didn't target selling with owner financing, because that would really have ruined things for not just my own business, but everybody else getting, I don't want to say getting rich off doing this, because that's kind of gives you the wrong impression, but there's a lot of people who are successful with this business model. A lot of them are in Texas. And if you really want to learn, that's why I did deals in Texas, because I wanted to learn how these were done in Texas. I got somebody messaging me wanting to go view my house. They have 15 grand to put down. I've talked to them on the phone. I'm looking for 22,500 down on this particular house. But maybe I'll let them do it with 15 grand, because she told me she's got 15K saved up, but she's not really as proactive as I typically like my buyers to be. She wants to use some, her work has some live where you work program, and she wants to like take advantage of that. And I told her, go ahead and try, but in my experience, any down payment assistance program has never worked for what I offer, which is like a contract for deed. They'll only work with like a government approved loan, basically. But whatever, if she can get her work to pay for part of her down payment, fantastic. So that gives you an idea. I'm not settling for 15 grand. I'm not ready to do that. I'm trying to get my full 10% on this particular deal, and it will come. It will come, or I'll find just an amazing buyer who's got a great credit score, great income, great DTI. Yeah, we do check DTI. And maybe they have 15, maybe they have 13, whatever, but I talk to them and I discern that they're going to have the rest in a short period of time. And they look so good on paper that I just, let's just do a lease option. I don't care. I am willing to forego the 10% and do a lease option, because there are advantages to lease options. There's big tax advantages to being able to depreciate a rental property when you do a lease option. There's other tax benefits which I'm not going to mention right now, but I'm trying to think. The other thing is it's just a lot easier. The paperwork, you don't have to do RMLO. If you're owner financing more than 3 a year, you should be using an RMLO. That's a residential mortgage loan originator, and they're the ones who are going to issue your TILA documents, your Truth in Lending Act documents, the initial loan disclosure, closing disclosure, and just make sure your loan is in compliance. I see a lot of hooligans out there buying these D-class property, $20,000 property in a war zone, looking for, $2,000 down payment, owner will finance. Have fun when you have to foreclose on more than half of all of those people, and the Attorney General comes after you because you weren't compliant. Okay, have fun doing that. If you're going to do this business, there are certain things you need to know, which I'll be honest, I was not fully aware of when I first got into this. But as I've learned, through pain and experience, basically, it's not that hard to be compliant, guys. It's really not. Go look at Note Fusion. Dan Dapin, the now current owner of Call the Underwriter. He is the RMLO for a lot of people who do this business nationwide. Just go follow his channel, and you'll learn everything you need to learn about being compliant if you're planning to owner finance. Okay, I am compliant 100% of the time. I owner finance these days. Okay, it's not worth taking a risk, even if you think you could get away with it. It's not worth it. And what I see, I think it's coming out of the slow flip community. It could be wrong, and I don't want to point blame if that's not fair or accurate, but these are people buying, teaching investors to buy like $20,000 properties, $40,000, $50,000 junk area. I'm sorry, I mean, these are ghetto area properties, okay? Let's just be realistic about it, okay? And providing home ownership opportunities. Well, don't become a predatory lender, okay? That's my suggestion. Make sure your buyer has the ability to repay, okay? And if you're not doing that, you're taking a risk. You might be fine. You might be fine driving 80 miles an hour in a car without a seatbelt for like 5 years, but then maybe one day, it's raining out and your tires slip and you get into a massive accident and you're in a critical condition. So don't do that. Don't do that. All right, follow my channel if you like what I'm throwing out there. Real-time advice to people trying to build passive income, lease options, rent to own, owner finance, sub 2, the BRRRR strategy, but we're trying to build portfolios not the traditional way, the way banks build portfolios to actually create massive income, the way banks do it, not the way mom and pop landlords do it, okay? Sub2investor.com, check it out. Peace.